Hey friends, Ash here with Gents. Hope you're doing really well. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about 10 different fragrances that are fit for a king. Really though, these are just fragrances that are going to have you smelling like $1 million. They're going to have you smelling like you have your stuff together, like your life is not falling apart and you totally know what you're doing day to day. So that's what these fragrances are going to be doing for you. We've got a nice mix here. Some of these are a little bit fresher. Some of these are a little bit warmer and deeper. Some of these are very modern. Some have a throwback feel to them. So let's jump into it and check these out. I'm gonna start things off with an old school fragrance. This one is from 1982, Santos de Cartier Concentré. This one has sandalwood, amber, geranium, lavender, and chili pepper. That's some of the notes in the fragrance. And being a fragrance from the early 1980s, this one's got a little bit of that old school machismo to it. This fragrance is about 40 years old, so it does have that old school vibe, a little bit of that hairy chest kind of feeling going on with it, but not too much so. It's not overwhelmingly far in that direction. It's got a nice bit of refinement to it. It's got a nice grown up kind of gentlemanly vibe. Does not really get talked about nowadays, which makes sense because it is an older fragrance, but you know what? It still works, especially in formal situations or office situations. As long as you don't go too heavy with the trigger. Have a little bit of empathy for the people around you. Let's go from there to this one right here, Terre d'Hermès Pure Parfum. And yes, this is an enormous bottle, and also yes, it has seen better days. This here is a 200 milliliter bottle. That's why it's so freakishly huge, but I got it for a really good price, couldn't pass it up. This takes Terre d'Hermès and pushes it a little bit further, whereas Terre d'Hermès Eau Très Fraîche takes Terre d'Hermès and smooths it out, rounds it off a little bit, makes it easier to wear day to day, easier to wear in spring and summer. This one takes Terre d'Hermès and makes it a little bit deeper, a little bit richer. It's got orange, grapefruit, woods, and oak moss as some of the notes in the fragrance. And this one is if you just want maximum Terre d'Hermès. Really though, I don't get quite as much of that dirty, earthy vibe in the Pure Parfum. It's a little bit smoother because it does have that added depth, that added richness. Now, certainly there is a little bit of that here, but I get more woodiness. I pull more of those woods from this than just Terre d'Hermès Eau de Toilette. So this one, maybe just a little bit more than the Eau de Toilette, has you come across like you really have your stuff together. Next up, going with this absolute classic Dior Homme, and this is not Dior Homme 2020. This is Dior Homme, the way it should be. Now, if you like Dior Homme 2020, and I do, as just a modern, easy to wear, fresh fragrance, not taking shots at you, but to me, this is what I think of when I hear Dior Homme. As of this video, this is still available at FragranceNet, so I'll link that below. They also have the Dior Homme 2020 there at FragranceNet too, so you have to make sure you're buying the right thing if you do want to pick this up. It'll say Dior Homme new packaging if it's Dior Homme 2020. Now you could also go with Dior Homme Intense, and that would work in this list as well. So Dior Homme / Dior Homme Intense. This has iris, cacao, leather, and lavender as some of the notes in the fragrance. Dior Homme, a little bit more wearable than Dior Homme Intense. You can pull it off in more situations because Dior Homme Intense does take things and kind of amp them up to 11 as far as the iris goes here, that makeup-y iris. This one you can pull off springtime, fall, and winter. Summer, probably go with something else, but this is one of the quintessential designer fragrances for formal situations, for more serious situations, and it still shines today just as much as when it was released. Next up, let's go with this one from Penhaligon's LP number 9. This one has cloves, cinnamon, amber, and mandarin orange as some of the notes in the fragrance. doesn't really get talked about very much. And really, lots of Penhaligon's fragrances don't get talked about that much. Nowadays, the Portraits collection is what everybody really likes to talk about with Penhaligon's. And those are really nice, really easy to wear. This one is a little bit similar to Opium Pour Homme from Yves Saint Laurent. So if you just want a really Cliff's Notes kind of version of how this smells, like if you took Opium Pour Homme and made it niche. What does that really mean though? It means this has fantastic warm spices and they shine through for the entirety of the fragrance. You get a little bit of citrus up top, but really this is all about the clove, all about the cinnamon. And then the amber adds further warmth and sweetness as the fragrance dries down. Absolute stunner. So that one right there, fall, winter, evening wear, you're set. You're gonna be smelling amazing. Up next, let's go with this one from Guerlain, L'Homme Ideal Eau de Toilette. Packaging on this has changed a little bit. The bottle nowadays doesn't come with this black border, it's clear on the sides. They've made all the L'Homme Ideal bottles like that, which I'm not really a fan of. I actually like the old style, from a whole few years ago of L'Homme Ideal bottles, where each one had a different coloration along the edge. I think it looked better. This has tonka, leather, and citrus, and of course, almond, which is the note that gets used across all the fragrances in the L'Homme Ideal line, and this is the one that kicked it off. This fragrance is really, really versatile. You can use it in a whole bunch of different situations, though it's better suited for fall and winter, potentially spring as well. It has that designer wearability to it, where everybody's gonna like the way it smells. You're gonna potentially pull compliments. You've got good longevity with this fragrance as well, but it does set you apart a bit from people wearing more typical designer fragrances. So this one has a lot going for it, and for the price, because it's not too expensive from discounters, you really get a lot here. It's a great fragrance. And that fragrance works really well if you're young or middle-aged or older. I mean, realistically, wear whatever you want. If you're 18 and you wanna wear this, then wear this. I mean, who cares? But just in terms of, you know, generalities, this works for just about anybody. Hey guys, hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed so you don't miss any future lists or reviews or just random nonsensical fragrance videos. If you're already subscribed, then I love you and I appreciate it. Up next, let's talk about a fragrance from Moleyard Queer. And also this one could be in patchouli. I think this one is really, really nice as well, but for this list, we'll talk about this one. But again, if you like fragrances that are patchouli based, like just really focused on patchouli, check this one out right here. Because for the price, it is really, really, really good. This one though, has leather, oud, saffron, and amber. And it is a very nice, very wearable leather fragrance. You would think with the oud in there, it might be overwhelming, you know, a little dirty, a little funky. But no, it's actually sweet and has just enough of an edge to give it kind of a mysterious, sexy feel. Now, I guess if all you've ever worn is stuff like Versace Dylan Blue, Bleu de Chanel, Dior Sauvage, things like that, then maybe this one would be challenging a little bit. Personally though, I think this does everything right. I think that it sets you apart. You know, it shows you don't necessarily follow what everyone else is doing. You kind of do your own thing. And like I said, it has a little bit of an edge. Not too much, but a little bit. One thing with this fragrance though, is it smells better on skin than paper. Lots of fragrances are that way. Some are the opposite. Some smell better on paper than they do on skin, but this one smells much better when you're actually wearing it, especially if it's cool outside, as opposed to how it smells just on a tester strip. So if you get that one in, or you get a sample of it or something like that, make sure to give it an actual wearing or a few actual wearings on your skin, instead of just spraying it onto a paper and going, I don't like it. Let's keep it moving. Next up, Sultan Vetiver from Nishane. And this stuff, I love it. This one I bought from Etiquette, which is a niche perfume store up in Montreal, Canada. I was up there hanging out with Cascade Scents and tried this one on in the store, and I was like, man, I'm gonna have to just buy it. A lot of times I would say, wait and see if you can pick it up at a discounter. But sometimes when you smell something that just captures you right away, you're like, I'm just gonna get it right now. And that is what I did. If you've watched this channel for a while, you know that I'm a big fan of Vetiver-based fragrances. And this right here is one of my absolute favorite Vetiver fragrances of all time. There's also leather, neroli, and bergamot in here. There are actually a few different versions of vetiver in this fragrance, so you get lots of different facets of vetiver here. You get dry facets, green facets, grassy facets, you get smoky facets, you get woody facets, just lots and lots of different ways that vetiver can be used, all of it bottled up and put right inside here. It is just a stunning fragrance. Daytime, nighttime, spring and fall, best seasons for me, but the versatility there is just off the chain. You can wear it casually because it's not too aggressive, not too in your face, but it is very nice and smooth. And you can very, very easily wear it formally or to the office or even on a date. So Sultan Vetiver, gotta make the list. Up next, Gentleman Cologne from Givenchy. This one really, really good for spring and summer, great for daytime use, great for casual use, great for office use. This one has bergamot, iris, vetiver, and ambroxan as some of the notes in the fragrance. So the Gentleman line, really well known for iris, kind of like the Dior Homme line used to be really well known for. This one takes iris and it does retain some of those powdery facets, but it makes it more almost aquatic. So it makes it perfect for warm weather situations. You do have bergamot in the opening, so you get a little bit of that fresh citrus pop right away. The iris you also pick up pretty much immediately. Like I said, it's kind of an aquatic, watery sort of iris. That's the way I pick it up anyway. Very clean, very fresh, not overly soapy. I mean, is there a soapiness to it? Sure, but it's not the kind of fragrance where I would say, oh, it's 100% powdery soap, boys. I don't know what that was. I'm not sure who talks like that, but we're gonna go with it. As it dries down, you've got vetiver and ambroxan, so you get this nice, fresh, modern, sort of masculine dry down. Really the appeal here though, is that iris and the way it's utilized with the bergamot, giving it, again, that sort of watery feeling. Next up, we've got a powerful one for cool weather, cold weather. Initio Parfums, Oud for Greatness. It's got saffron, oud, nutmeg, and patchouli. And this one right here is very, very strong. So don't go too heavy with the trigger unless you just don't really like the people you're gonna be around and you wanna give them a coughing fit. In that case, load yourself down. My bottle, unfortunately, gets a little bit of leakage around the collar when you spray it, but doesn't matter. Fragrance is awesome. This one puts that saffron really front and center. You pick up a whole bunch of it right away as soon as you spray it on, and then the oud comes in as the fragrance dries down. Some people will say, oh, I wish it was oudier. I wish I had more of an animalic facet to it. I wish it was poopy smelling. I really like poopy oud. Now I know what you may be thinking. Ashton, nobody says that, man. Nobody goes around and says, I like poopy oud. You're wrong. Some people love poopy oud. Really, that's just an excuse for me to keep saying poopy oud. But truthfully, this one does have oudy facets as it dries down. It's just more of the approachable variety of oud. So just said in a really simplistic manner, sort of like a dark woodiness. You know, woods with a touch of the night. Does that make sense? Probably not. And yet, that's what you're gonna find here. And also the Illuminati, you'll find that with Oud for Greatness. Now, last fragrance, let's talk about this one, Lhomme Old Team from Yves Saint Laurent. This one has ginger, rose, grapefruit, and vetiver as some of the notes in the fragrance. This opens up fantastically, absolutely love the opening here. It's ginger and grapefruit just sparkling and popping, very effervescent, bright and sweet. The rose comes in really early on. It's a fresh rose, not jammy, not dark. It again is very fresh and poppy, blends together perfectly with the grapefruit and the ginger. As it dries down, vetiver comes out more, not exactly the same as this fragrance, but a similar idea. where you give vetiver a nice, fresh, clean kind of feeling. Put that in the base, let it dry down to a nice, modern, masculine finish. Lhomme Old Team is one of the absolute best flankers in the Lhomme line. It's a fantastic scent. It gets overlooked a lot of times, but it smells great. It smells very high quality. There we go. 10 different fragrances fit for a king, or just somebody that wants to smell really good. All right, guys, it's gonna do it for me. As always, thanks for hanging out with me today. Let me know in the comments below which of these 10 fragrances do you like the most, personally. As always, thanks for hanging out with me today. Thanks for your support. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.